He thought no one saw him, but that one moment changed his entire life forever. His name was Daniel Carter. 32 years old. Average job, average life. The kind of man you'd pass on the street and never notice. But what no one knew was that Daniel had been struggling too. Late rent, empty fridge, and a phone filled with missed calls from debt collectors. That night, he had exactly $20 left in his wallet. That was all. It was freezing. The kind of cold that bites through your jacket and settles deep into your bones. Daniel pulled his coat tighter as he walked past a dimly lit street corner. That's when he saw her. A woman sitting on the sidewalk. Still. Silent. Almost invisible. She looked like she hadn't eaten in days. Her hands were shaking, her face pale, wrapped in a torn blanket that barely covered her shoulders. A small cardboard sign rested beside her. It read, "I'm hungry." Daniel slowed down. Then stopped. For a moment, he just stood there. Watching. Thinking. Struggling. $20. That was his last money. His food for the next 2 days. His transport to work. His survival. He looked at her again. She didn't even look up. Like she had already accepted that no one was coming. Daniel clenched his jaw. Walk away, or help her? He took a deep breath. Then, slowly, he reached into his pocket. Pulled out the crumpled $20 bill. His last money. He hesitated. For just a second. Then he stepped forward. And placed it gently in her hand. The woman looked up. For the first time. Her eyes filled with tears. Not dramatic, not loud. Just quiet disbelief. "You don't have to," she whispered. Daniel smiled faintly. "I know." He turned and started to walk away. But what he didn't know. What he couldn't see. Across the street? Inside a parked black SUV. Someone had been watching everything. And they were about to make a decision. That would change Daniel's life forever. Inside the black SUV. A man sat in silence. Watching. His name was Richard Hale. A businessman. Sharp suit. Cold eyes. The kind of man who didn't believe in coincidences or kindness. He had seen everything. The hesitation. The struggle. The sacrifice. And for the first time in a long time. He leaned forward. Interested. Richard didn't react immediately. He didn't smile. Didn't nod. Instead, he reached for his phone. "Follow him," he said calmly. The driver nodded. The SUV engine hummed as they slowly pulled into the street. Daniel had no idea. He was now being watched. Tested. Daniel walked alone. Hands in his empty pockets. The cold felt sharper now. But something inside him felt lighter. Still. Reality hit quickly. No money, no food, and a long night ahead. His stomach growled. He ignored it. Kept walking. As Daniel turned the corner, he saw a small convenience store. Warm light glowing through the windows. Food. Shelter. Relief. He stopped outside. Looked in. Then down at his empty hands. He let out a quiet breath. And walked away. Choosing hunger over regret. The black SUV pulled up beside him. Daniel froze. The window rolled down. A voice called out. "Excuse me, sir." Daniel turned. Confused. Cautious. Richard stepped out of the vehicle. Clean, composed, powerful. Everything Daniel wasn't at that moment. "I saw what you did back there," Richard said. Daniel frowned slightly. "I don't know what you mean." Richard smiled faintly. "You gave away your last money, didn't you?" Daniel stayed quiet. Not proud, not ashamed. Just honest. She needed it more. Richard studied him carefully. Like he was trying to solve a puzzle. Get in the car, he said. Daniel stepped back. I'm not interested. Richard chuckled softly. Relax. I'm not here to harm you. He paused, then added, I want to offer you an opportunity. Daniel hesitated. Every instinct told him to walk away. But something else, something deeper, told him to listen. Richard leaned slightly closer. His voice lower now. More serious. Tell me something, Daniel? How far would you go to change your life? Daniel blinked. How do you know my name? Richard ignored the question. Would you take a risk? A real one? Silence filled the space between them. Daniel's mind raced. This didn't feel normal. Didn't feel safe. But it didn't feel wrong either. He thought about his empty apartment. His unpaid bills. The hunger waiting for him tonight. Then he looked back at Richard. What kind of risk? Richard smiled. Not kindly. Not cruelly. Just knowingly. The kind that reveals who you really are. He opened the car door. Get in. Daniel stood there, frozen between fear and possibility. And just before he made his decision, back on that same cold street corner, the homeless woman slowly stood up, watching him. No longer weak. No longer invisible. And everything was about to change. Daniel stood still. The open car door in front of him, the cold street behind him. Two different paths. Two different lives. He swallowed hard. Then finally, he stepped forward and got into the car. No one spoke. The city lights blurred past the window. Daniel's reflection stared back at him. Tired, uncertain. But deep down, a small spark of hope had begun to grow. Richard watched him quietly. Like a man who already knew the ending of the story. The car finally stopped. Not at an office. Not at a house. But back. At the same street corner. Daniel frowned. What is this? Richard didn't answer. Instead, he gestured toward the sidewalk. Look. Daniel stepped out. Slowly. Confused. Then he saw her. The homeless woman. But she wasn't sitting anymore. She stood tall. Calm. Composed. Her torn blanket gone. Her posture different. Her eyes clear. And suddenly, everything felt wrong. She walked toward him. Step by step. No weakness. No trembling. Just quiet strength. My name isn't what you think, she said softly. Daniel's chest tightened. What is this? Richard stepped forward. This was a test. Silence. Heavy. Unavoidable. We've been watching people for months, Richard continued. Looking for one thing. Real kindness, without expectation. You weren't the first person to pass her, Richard said. Dozens walked by. Some stared, some laughed, some ignored. He paused. But you gave when you had nothing. The woman looked at Daniel. Eyes filled with something deeper than gratitude. Most people only give when it's easy. You gave when it hurt. Richard reached into his coat. Pulled out an envelope. Thick. Sealed. This is yours. Daniel didn't move. What is it? A new beginning. Daniel slowly opened it. Inside, a check. Enough money to change everything. Rent, food, freedom. But that wasn't all. There's also a job, Richard added. A real one, stable, life-changing. Daniel's hands began to shake. Not from the cold this time. But from disbelief. Why me? He whispered. The woman smiled gently. Because you didn't do it for this. A tear rolled down Daniel's face. All the struggle? All the silent battles? All the nights no one saw? finally, meant something. Just as Daniel tried to process everything, the woman stepped closer. "There's one more thing you should know." He looked up, confused. "I wasn't just part of the test. I started it." Daniel froze. "I used to be where you are," she said. "Lost, broke, invisible." Her voice softened. "Someone once helped me when I had nothing." She smiled. "And I promised myself I would find someone like that again." Daniel looked down at the check, then back at her, then at Richard. His life had changed. Because of one decision. One moment. One act of kindness, when no one was supposed to be watching. Sometimes, the smallest choices create the biggest changes. Not because someone is watching, but because it shows who you truly are. So the next time you have a choice, to walk away or to help, remember this story. Because you never know who might be watching, or how one moment could change your life forever. If this story touched you, share it. Because someone out there needs to believe that kindness still exists.